Hey guys, what it do? It's your boy Supreme Uchiha, the God. Now listen, first we need to get 2,000 subscribers, guys, man. Come on now. You know what I'm saying? If you listen, if you have high curse energy, you're gonna press that subscribe button, man. If you're a Sukuna or Gojo, man, you're gonna press that subscribe button. Now let's get straight into the video. I want to talk about Mahito and I want to talk about Gojo. And I want to talk about the intriguing scenarios here in terms of the souls, right? Because, a lot of people always use Mahito's soul transfiguration as a GG move. But we know that when he accidentally touched Sukuna's soul, just the overwhelming power of that soul scared him off. And he was afraid to touch Yuji's soul from then on in case he accidentally touches Sukuna's. And that's why he followed and did really, really well to follow Gojo's 0.2 second domain. This is important here because if you think about it, Sukuna has this overwhelming soul, and maybe because he's a curse object or whatever. But we also know that Gojo can see souls, right? And we also know that the body and souls are linked, right? And that's why when he touched Yuji, Mahito, that is, when he touched Yuji, he also touched Sukuna's soul by accident because they probably overlap somewhere in there. Or those, they're linked because of the body, via the body being the vessel. And this is important here because even if we look at when Toji comes back, and his body overwhelms the soul of the person that's supposed to be controlling his body, right? It completely overwhelms it because his body is so powerful, because that is his soul almost, right? With sorcerers, I think the soul is the actual power. And the physicality can be, but usually it's reinforced, right? But I think for somebody with heavily restriction, I think it's maybe the opposite. But I think if the body is that strong, then the soul is probably that strong as well. So it's kind of an intriguing scenario there. But it's just what's the main thing to take from that is the fact that Toji's body overwhelmed somebody's soul because he was just that much more powerful than that person, right? Which begs the question, right? If Gojo was not fighting Mahito, right, 1-on-1, but Mahito's fighting Gojo. Gojo's not fighting back. Turns off his limitless and lets Mahito try to transfigure him. Would he be able to transfigure Gojo? Right? We know he wouldn't be able to do it straight away anyway. It's going to take several tries because even Nanami, it took him to a few times to even transfigure Nanami. But I don't think he will be able to at all. I think and I'll get deeper into it now. So if you remember the Shibuya incident, obviously, when Gojo got sealed, that whole Shibuya area, curses during the calling game were afraid to go near there just because of remnants of Gojo's power. Just the remnants of his power there kept curses away, right? Unlike Jogo, who tried to test himself with Sukuna and with Gojo, Mahito didn't. Mahito was a lot more clever, right? And I think this is important here because if his remnant is that powerful, imagine how powerful he is. And we know that, right? Sukuna, Ryu saw Sukuna from miles away because of just the crazy curse energy he was releasing, right? And I think he probably did that because he didn't want to go around fighting some bum-ass curses. So once they see that, they're fleeing, right? And I think Gojo is the same because remember when Gojo amped up his curse energy, and Sukuna knew and even pointed like, yeah, I know where he is. Like, I know what time it is. I know where he's at. He's there. You know what I'm saying? Because he could see just the curse energy emanating. That's why there's not a single curse that's even popped near the battlefield, because just seeing that kind of curse energy is terrifying fucking sorcerers, let alone curses. You know what I'm saying? And I think this really, and the fact that is what Gojo sees in the latest chapter, spoilers alert, sees Megumi and Sukuna's soul through his 6 eyes. So obviously he can interact with souls and his soul capabilities. And I think most of the community has kind of guessed this anyway. It's kind of been a theory in the community that Gojo can see or sense souls, and he can I don't want to say directly impact, but he can interact with souls, right? Yeah, to some degree. And I think it's kind of been proven here by the fact that he can see the souls of Megumi and Sukuna, right? I think and that's interesting. And even when he looked at Sukuna when Yuji, when Yuji got, ate the first finger, he just looked at him with the sixth eye and focused, and then he was like, oh, there really are two of you in there. So again, it's been clearly hinted that he can do this. So I think that's probably one of the reasons why Gege never put Gojo and Mahito near each other until, the Shibuya incident, where Gojo obviously kept his limitless on, and or his infinity, his limitless on, and then he just, was trying to just keep the damage low. But I think that's important here, because I think if Mahito actually touched Gojo, I think he'd get the same thing he got with Sukuna. I think he'd be terrified. I think he'd freak out, and he'd be like, holy shit, this guy's way too powerful. Because again, body and soul are linked, etc., etc., etc. Like, Gojo's fighting toe to toe with Sukuna, so obviously his soul has to be somewhat comparable, right? Even if you give Sukuna the edge because he's technically a curse, technically a person, whatever. So that's what I think. I think that, that's why I think that it's very intriguing when you think about Mahito versus Gojo. Obviously, Mahito could never touch Gojo in the first place. You know what I mean? If they actually fought, it would be an absolute one-sided curb stomp. Like, Gojo would just teleport and smack the shit out of this kid. Like, you know what I'm saying? He wouldn't even need to use purple or anything. He could just smack him, beat him so bad that he'd keep regenerating until he's just nothing. Like, you know what I'm saying? He could beat him with punches if he wants to be honest. As we know how his punches the effect his punches has, and we know when he really amps it up, he's punching holes to Sukuna, like, you know what I mean? So that's what I think. I think that Mahito, obviously, I don't think Mahito would ever get the opportunity to transfigure Gojo in the first place. But I also don't think that even if he did, he could. Because if one finger Sukuna's soul, because I think the fingers still contain all of his soul, because I don't know how, but I think that's how it works. I think he kind of dictates where I don't know. I think maybe if a person eats it, he dictates it. But if a cursed spirit eats it, then the cursed spirit just gets a power boost, right? I think that's how it works. But obviously, normally if somebody eats it, they die. But, Yuji could. And that's why I think he could interact with and control Yuji. But I think that's the scenario. I think if Mahito ever did touch Gojo, I think, Gojo's soul would be like an emperor, similar to Sukuna, sitting in his unlimited void. And I think, Mahito would flee and never want to touch it again. But what do you guys think? So I'm just, I'm taking the information that we've gathered in terms of souls and bodies and how they're linked and the powers, and Toji overwhelming somebody's soul with his body, etc., etc. And I'm using that to, correlate with if Gojo was to be touched by Mahito's transfiguration. I don't think it would be able to work because of said reasons. But, let me know what you guys think below. It's been your boy Supreme Cheat God. Make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you got that cursed energy in you. If you're a peon up pleb, then I guess you just can't do it. I'm out.